No other questions? We will move on. Thank you very much. Our next item is 3.2. This is the accreditation report. This is essentially an update provided to the board with information on the Commission's January 2015 action regarding accreditation status at Long Beach City College. This will be given by Dr. Bagg, Superintendent President Oakley. I know we've said this repeatedly, wherever Eva is. Oh, there she is.
Coming.
Yes. I'm going to say, because every one of us, we've said it repeated, but thank you very much, yourself and Jeff Wheeler, I believe, were the co-chairs. You did an outstanding job, as did so many people. Most people don't understand the heavy lift that the college, throughout the college, has to do for accreditation. But you, as one of the co-chairs, on behalf of the board, thank you very much. Outstanding job. And look, obviously, this is a report we'd like to hear because of what the commission has come down and reported. So, Superintendent President Oakley, I don't know if you have to do any introductions from here, but
Yes, just
yours.
very briefly, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eva Bagg. The timing was perfect. Today in the mail, I did receive our certificate from the Accrediting Commission for Junior and Community Colleges. We received affirmation of our accreditation, which is always great news. And I will turn it over to Eva to discuss the report and the follow-up to the report. With each report, every college has work to do, and we certainly have plenty of work to do based on this accreditation report in our own self-study. So we're looking forward to beginning that work and continuing to improve the college and continuing to do what we need to do to ensure that we continue to meet all of the standards of the Commission. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Bagg.
Thank you, President Oakley, Board Trustee Kellogg, trustees, and member of the Executive Committee in the audience. It's my pleasure tonight to provide you an update on accreditation. The Accrediting Commission had its regular winter meeting in January, this January, where it took action on those colleges that had their comprehensive self-visits in October, and as you know, we were among that group. The college received its letter on the same day that we had our State of the College address, so it was very good news to us, and I want to just kind of highlight really the contents of that letter, and I want to pay special attention to the revisions that the Accrediting Commission made to the team report that we've also been provided, and then also update you on the activities that are already in progress to address the recommendation contained in the action letter and in the evaluation team report. So as we all know and sort of breathed a big sigh of relief, the college's accreditation status was reaffirmed with that action letter. And according to the Commission, reaffirmation is granted when an institution, and this is in their language, substantially meets or exceeds the member eligibility requirements, the accreditation standards, and the Commission policies. And as you'll recall from the report, each of those components were addressed in our report. So we were reaffirmed. We were also required to submit a follow-up report within 1 year. And what that means when the Commission requires reaffirmation with a follow-up report is that there are, again, this is quoting language from the Commission, there are deficiencies leading to non-compliance which do not create an immediate risk to the institution's quality and effectiveness. However, if they are not addressed and fully resolved in a short time, they may threaten quality and effectiveness and lead to increased non-compliance. So now I want to get started in addressing, or just really sharing with you, the recommendations that were given to us, and also to, again, highlight the revisions that the Commission made to the report that was provided by our visiting team. So essentially, 2 recommendations, and that's really quite good. Last time we had 9. But the first one, the core of the recommendation that was made by the visiting team has remained intact, pretty much as the visiting team had written it. And that is for the college to address communication problems and increase transparency and trust through timely input processes in decision-making and better integration of plans and improvement priorities, hiring, and resource allocation. So it's quite specific. I want to really highlight, and this is included in the commission letter, the revisions that were made to the team report by the commission. And these revisions were based upon the commission's review of the external team report, our college's self-evaluation report that we submitted in August and that this board approved, and all of the supporting evidence and documentation. And basically, the final bullet on the slide shows that the commission, in their words, that the non-compliance issues related to morale raised in 2002 and 2008 were found to be resolved. And I point this out, its significance is that if there had been continued non-compliance with the very same issues raised by past visiting teams, that's when the commission is obliged, really through Department of Education, to sanction colleges and issue a warning and whatever level of sanction they deem necessary. So that was very important for us, that through their evaluation, they determined that they were not the same issues that had been raised in the previous 2 visits. For the second recommendation, the way that it came to us, essentially, again, intact from the visiting team, and I'll read it directly because we really have to be quite specific in how we're addressing these in the year ahead of us, is to utilize student learning outcome assessment results to improve the achievement of stated SLOs and to inform integrated planning decisions, including resource allocation and improvements across the college. So that's the recommendation. The modification, once again, that the commission made to the visiting team report was that non-compliance related to student learning outcomes from 2002 and 2008, those specific issues were found to have been resolved. And those issues from the past were that we were to develop outcomes at each of the levels, course, program, degree, institution, including SLOs on course syllabi. That was confirmed that has happened. SLOs and evaluations of faculty and others responsible for student learning. We've attended to that. And we established student learning outcomes for general education and have aligned those outcomes with our general education philosophy. So those were the specifics from the 2008 report, and those were resolved. So once again, there was not this continuity of the same problem. And I think the team did a nice job in specifying specifically about SLOs what we need to address at this point moving forward. So before I get back to the recommendations, it's important for us to put this in perspective and to acknowledge that 2 recommendations and 4 commendations, and I think it's important that we really acknowledge and embrace that. So, and this wasn't revised by the commission. The visiting team commended the employees of the college for their professionalism towards students and the commitment to student success, commended the college on the quality of its facilities and technology to support student learning, commended the college for achieving support from the communities within the district. This is evidenced by the successful implementation of 2 consecutive general obligation bonds for the continued work on renovating the college, and commended the college for being early adopters of student success strategies by engaging with high school and university partners. So it's just important for us to remember those very positive things and move forward. So getting back to the recommendations, I've just presented the same language that we have to address, and really just want to assure the board that even before the visiting team arrived on campus and made their exit report, we had already attended to really the very same issues that the team and the commission validated. And we did this through, I think, a very self-reflective and self-critical self-evaluation. So much of what they identified for us, we had already identified in our actionable improvement plans, and those are being addressed. I'm working with the Senate President, College Planning Committee. Those were already on our agendas even before the team got here. Obviously, with the official decision from the commission, we can get much more specific and confident that we really focus on what we must include in this follow-up report that's due in 1 year. So some of the things that we're doing right now, and we're being very deliberate about recognizing the ongoing processes that are happening at the college now, to be mindful of those opportunities to make sure we're doing all that we can. In this case, for recommendation 1, to be highly communicative, as transparent as possible, and especially as it's related to our planning and resource allocation process. So actually, this week, in fact, we are in our annual planning process where it began in October, where the departments developed their plans and submitted those to the schools. Those have moved on to the vice presidents, and this Thursday at the College Planning Committee, those vice president plans will be shared and discussed to develop an institutional priority for next year. So we'll be very conscious to make sure that while we're doing that work, that we're carefully documenting that. The prioritizations will become part of the evidence that will be included in that report that we submit in 1 year. Also, we're already preparing for, at the end of the spring semester, when we've completed this planning process, we will do another evaluation of that, collect the results, and determine where there's still areas for improvement, so that when we launch the planning process again next year, that we will incorporate those improvements into the next iteration. And all of this, again, will be documented and submitted in the report. This particular recommendation and the other recommendation, we've been really deliberate about communicating that as broadly as possible. So this one in particular has been shared with the College Planning Committee. Moving on now to the second recommendation about student learning outcomes. Again, College Planning Committee has heard about this. We've talked about it with our assessment of student learning outcomes subcommittee of curriculum. The executive committee's been briefed on this. So everyone's aware of specifically what we have to do now with student learning outcomes. We have one opportunity we're trying to take advantage of, where last spring we implemented the CESI survey. Some of you may be aware of the community college survey of student engagement. We customized some of those questions to capture student input on their learning of our general education areas. So we do have a report on that, and we're discussing that in as many venues as we can. So they've been shared with the ASLO subcommittee, with the Student Success Committee. We'll be bringing it to College Planning Committee. I've been talking with the curriculum chair so that we can share that as well. So the idea is that people are talking about results. This is what the commission is asking for. We're talking about results, and we're sharing it more broadly so that where there are planning efforts and resource allocations, not just to support the process, because there's been heavy investment in SLO infrastructure, but this is to really take the data, the results, to directly improve student learning. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're really trying to optimize that. Also working on professional development. There was the FLEX workshop today, in fact, really honing in on how to help faculty with assessments to move us up this last level. So those are the activities, and as I've mentioned, really the framework for the report is already in place, and as things unfold, we'll just be adding that to the report, so we will be well positioned a year from now. March 15th is when that report is due, and we just want to resolve those as quickly as possible. Any questions specifically about that?
Members of the board, I'll just, if I can make just a very quick comment on, obviously, thank you again. There was an item you mentioned in there and in the report. For many people that may or may not be familiar with accreditation process, everything in the community college system is a process. And accreditation, of course, is one of the most challenging ones. I tried to go find, I didn't have it in my briefcase. I thought I had it, but it was the self-study report that you completed, a very thick document that had everything listed that was given to, did I use the right term, self-study report? It was what the visiting team gets before they show up.
Right.
That takes a tremendous amount of work to let them review with what's going on, because it all has to be based on, you have to verify everything. But in there, they talked about in your report how the accreditation commission team on the morale issue, but I do want to emphasize again, as I have repeatedly and others, is we do have a committee of the Board of Trustees meeting with Karen Kane, also known as Karen Kerr, if I butcher your name one more time, and Vice President Otto, as far as working with different groups, particularly the Academic Senate, but others as well, addressing this issue, because you mentioned about how they showed in the report about how they gave a finding and reported it out. But we also take very seriously about what has taken place and realize it's going to be an ongoing effort. And so I wanted to make that statement just to make sure people realize that we just don't have an accreditation process finish and then we move on. We actually are trying to take that to the next step and address some of those issues that have been around for the last 3 reporting cycles, which is 18 years. So I look forward to that committee coming back with the question of addressing those issues and some recommendations. But again, my thanks to you and everyone that put this effort together. Simply, I think you answered it, but many people that I've read that it's difficult to really understand accreditation, especially when they have comments here. But if I had to simplify it to people, they're always going to give feedback on how we can become better. And that's what that was. But as far as the report card coming out, I think any community college would be more than welcome a report like this, because we were not put on warning as we have in the past of not fulfilling certain type of areas. And in the following, it goes from warning to, it then goes to probation, and then the worst case scenario is show cause, which City College of San Francisco is now currently involved with. But it's difficult for many people outside the community college to understand how difficult this process is, what goes into it, and how it actually is fed back, because it's ongoing. We just don't finish it. We're now in the next accreditation cycle, essentially, in preparation for the next 6 years. It's always ongoing. So again, thank you, and I wanted to put that little plug in for Karen and Doug as they meet with our different college constituency groups to come back with a report. And with that, members of the board. Chair recognizes Trustee Zia.
Yes, thank you, Ava. Great job. I really appreciated the report, and I just wanted to commend everyone for recognizing the issues. Clearly, we have a morale issue that is persisting. In 2002 and 2008, and earlier today, we heard that there's been a chronic morale issue, and by the recommendation of this accreditation team, as you mentioned, that we certainly have our work cut out for us, that we need to address these problems and work through the transparency and issues of that nature. So I also wanted to mention that I think you guys did an amazing job as far as the self-reflective portion, so I wanted to commend you. But we certainly are not perfect, and we have a lot of room to grow and improve on the morale side that I continuously hear, particularly communication and respect. My question is, what tangible things have we done so far since this report? What are some of the outcomes that we've produced? How is it going with the issue as it pertains to morale? What kind of impact has it had? Because I'd certainly be interested in hearing that.
I think some of the main things that come to mind for me, again, related specifically to what the commission has outlined in the recommendation. An important resource allocation process is new faculty hires. So I think that's been a case where, that process is basically, it's a college process. There's protocol that's established, a collaboration with academic affairs and the Senate, and that process was followed, and the communication has been open about the criteria that was used by that committee to consider requests that were in the department plans and to ultimately identify the departments that will be getting new faculty hired, and that process is happening now. So I think that's a very important example of a collegial process that I think has been well communicated. I also know, being part of the academic affairs area, there's been a deliberate effort on the part of the vice president to remind the deans to communicate with the departments about resources that have been made available to the college through redevelopment funds and instructional equipment funds, that the deans honor the work that the departments had done in developing their plans, and that's the first source of information for determining those resource prioritizations, and that we communicate back to the departments those decisions as best we know them, because as we know, some of those funding sources we're not entirely in control of the timing of those, and it takes time to actually determine those specific allocations. There's a lot of entities that we have to be involved in. And as I mentioned in the presentation, it's the planning process right now at the College Planning Committee. We're at the top level of the college to look at the compilation, the aggregation across the different vice president areas so that there's transparency about what's contained in each of those areas in terms of their goals and the prioritized resources that they're asking for next year. So, I mean, that's very open. I mean, that's a governance group, and all of those documents will be made available.
Is it consensus building? Is it for exercising shared governance?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is. The College Planning Committee is one of our participatory governance committees, and, you know, we agree on that entire process was one that we developed in 2008, implemented in 2009, and have been refining every year and recognizing really the point that we're at right now with communicating resources. You know, that's what we documented for ourselves last year that we needed to improve on. So this is a year I think hopefully will be the best we've been so far, and next year will be even better. But those through the planning process most specifically is where we have been making improvements.
Okay, great. So perhaps Mr. Oakley, our superintendent, can answer this question of how's it going? Because we still hear there's morale issues, a chronic morale issue. So how's it going, Superintendent Oakley, on the impact that the planning is making, and where are we at with that?
Well, certainly with respect to the accreditation standards, I think it's going well. I mean, we have great collaboration with the Senate, and we've been working on, through the college planning process, these issues for the better part of the last year and a half. And I certainly welcome Senate President Kane's opinion as well, but I think the committees are working well. There's a new planning process in place, and I think it's gone pretty well so far.
Sorry, Trustee Azia?
Yeah, I'd certainly like to hear from our academic Senate president, and also understand the rank and file, not just the committee members. And then before you move on to the next question, President Kellogg, you mentioned there's a committee on morale. Is it just a committee of one trustee member working on this? Because I didn't realize we voted on that, or there was a committee assigned to begin with. Thanks, guys.
I can address that as well. Yeah. Thank you.
President Kane.
Loud. Yes. Thank you. In respect, with respect to the accreditation report and planning and transparency, which is what we're speaking about, we've made tremendous strides from the department level all the way through the VP area, and one of the examples I'll cite is when Vice President Long came on board. She immediately took a list of resource prioritizations and what had been funded in the last year to the department heads. And we had not seen a document like that in the past. So it's really improved the dialoguing on how the planning process works and how the money, and everybody's starting to understand how the budget works, and it doesn't work the same way you would do your home budget for sure, but and it's because of the different funding sources. So it's really an educational experience that we're providing through the planning process. So everybody who's involved in planning, which is more than a small committee of planners, we start at the department level, and so it's your department faculty that set the plan, and then it moves to the dean level, and all the faculty should be involved in that, and then from the deans to the vice presidents, where we are now. And then as Dr. Bagg alluded to, the college planning committee now takes a look at all of that. So it's a very transparent process, and certainly we are working on refining it each year, but it's working better and better each year.
What about the morale issue beyond transparency that keeps rearing its head in every board meeting that we have? How's that going so far?
In respect to the accreditation report, I think they said that the morale issue raised in 2002 and 2008 were found to be resolved, but I'm going to address it from the standpoint of when we had the board retreat in November. One of the board goals was to provide more professional development to improve collegiality. So, and that was, something Doug Otto really, really was enthusiastic about and made sure that became a board goal, which I so appreciate. And I would like to say that my name keeps getting called for working on this, but I have to say that Rose Delgadio is working diligently on developing a plan that I'm so excited about. And also there's members in the audience who are part of the steering committee. That might be the committee that President Kellogg was referring to, but there's a steering committee working to develop a academy for the college that is really going to be something very exciting that should improve how people feel about their work environment at this college.
Other questions, and I was going to clarify that there is no morale committee, for lack of a better term. This is a communication, and when it was appointed, it was actually Trustee Otto and Trustee Archuleta, and I know Trustee Archuleta has actually met as well in developing some goals and some areas that we can actually track. But it was really more on the lines of, I want to say we call it communications, not morale. It was all rolled into it though, but I think I just clarified that a little bit better. And so both trustees, and that came up at a meeting a month or so ago, started. Other members of the board? Yes. Chair recognizes Trustee Archuleta.
Yes, I just want to also echo what everyone has said. We all know that this is a very labor-intensive process, and it's an ongoing process. It's a never-ending process. So, congratulations to you and to the entire campus community for the work that you've put into this. And certainly the communication, transparency, morale, those are issues that impact many colleges, many community colleges across the state. And it's something that cannot be fixed within, 3 months or 4 months. It's also, like accreditation, it's an ongoing process. And everyone has to be invested in working together. The board members, the superintendent, his executive team, and even the leadership, the constituency leadership. We all have to work together. But it's really about trust, about trusting in the work that each and every one of us does, and knowing that what we're here for and what you're here for is to serve the students. And if we keep the students in mind, that's what we're here for, that's the commonality, that's the common goal, the common thread that we all have. And if we focus on that and let go of everything else, I think we can improve morale and we can improve communication.
Other questions, members of the board?
I just wanted to mention that I very much look forward to seeing some tangible data in addressing the morale issues. Thank you.
I think we'd all agree with that. Chair recognizes Trustee Otto.
Yeah, a little bit of this is duplicative of things that have been said before, but with regard to the board very consciously, after the meetings with the visiting team and discussions, adopted a specific board goal that had to do with this issue and improving this. Way before that, we had been working with the Academic Senate through Karen Kane to read the works of Ernest Boyer and talk about how we might work together. The program that she's referring to, that she's working with Rose and others on, and I sometimes think that progress is slow in general, but in education it's more glacial. But it's to establish a Leadership Long Beach City College type program that would provide people more opportunities at the college to get involved in leadership issues. We've started, not us, but the college has started these Coffee Monday programs at PCC and here at LAC2. I know that the board has increased their individual interactions with faculty members, and they've been participating with Student Life to ensure that we're developing better communications with students. And we've been making arrangements to meet individually, at least, with new faculty. Expect that to be coming up pretty soon. And And finally, we funded a pretty good-sized communications plan, the results of which are, surveys in the public and internally that we're expecting the results from pretty soon. And that was a substantial data-based attempt to put some meat on the bones of how we can improve our communication. So do we have the fruits of all those efforts at this point? Probably not, but they're ongoing, and I think that they reflect a doubling down, if you will, of the commitment of the college to this issue. We've all looked at each other and said, how can we do better on this? And I'm sure that's not an exhaustive list, but those are things that are going on now.
Other members of the board? Dr. Bagg, thank you very much. We appreciate all the effort of everyone at the college on this last accreditation effort. Thank you so much.
Trustee, Board President Kellogg, there is one thing I wanted Eva to just touch on at the end with regard to some of the actions that are happening at the Chancellor's office level.